Hey guys, welcome back to Tethan Props. Today I'm going to show you how I went about making Saruman's lightsaber. So, if you couldn't tell, there's an obvious big bend in this lightsaber. So, the design from this has come directly from Count Dooku's lightsaber from Star Wars. And Count Dooku and Saruman are actually played by the same person, Sir Christopher Lee. So, I call this the Sir Christopher Lee lightsaber. I think it's a really good tribute to him. He passed away a couple of years ago, but this is his lightsaber combining two of his really iconic roles into one nice looking lightsaber. So it's got a red blade. Saruman was a good guy, turned into a bad guy, so we have to go with the red blade on that one. It has a blade plug in the end that can just come out. All my lightsabers take a standard 1-inch lightsaber blade. So there we go. Maybe with the lights off, you can see it a little bit brighter, but there we go. It's got a really nice red tinge to it. So how did I go about making this lightsaber? I had to first start off with 3D printing. To do the 3D printing, I needed a 3D model. So I took the inspiration, as I said, from Count Dooku's lightsaber, crossed with Saruman's staff. So that's where we get the long spikes at the end, combined with the curved hilt. I modeled this on Fusion 360 and then split it up into a couple parts and printed it out. The main thing that I want to note is the separation for where you can open it up to actually charge the lightsaber on the inside. I'm not happy with where I put it. I should have put it somewhere further down the handle so that when you're holding it, it can't actually come apart like that. So version 2, I'm going to change up where the cut or the separation in the lightsaber is, but for this first one, it's perfect. I just use it for display only. So while it's sitting up on the shelf, it works perfectly fine as it is. So back to 3D printing. Once you have the 3D models, you need to print them out. I did this on my Anycubic Photon, great little printer. So I printed it in 3 major pieces. After that, you need to do a bit of post-processing. So just clean up the parts, get them off the print bed, use a spatula, don't scratch either the part or the print bed. Then once you have them off, you put them into a isopropyl alcohol bath. So I use a magnetic mixer for my isopropyl alcohol, and this just helps clean the parts a little bit better. After that, just give them a quick clean under warm soapy water. Cure the parts in sunlight. I leave them out there for 10 to 15 minutes, cures them perfectly, and then you're good to go. Have all my parts here printed, cleaned up. I've cleaned off all the supports on them, so they're all good to go. Really happy with how this has turned out. I was a bit worried about doing such a tall and thin print on a resin printer, but it seems to be pretty good. I'm happy with how that is. You wouldn't want to hit these at all, otherwise they'll probably break, but these are just for display only, so I think it will do the job. All right, so first thing I need to do is start gluing it all together. I've got this coupler here, so this is really good because it is big enough to fit a lightsaber blade, and all I have to do is glue this into the top bit there. That. Alright, so the next part is to glue the pommel in. Now the handle. So now, I've got my lengths of PVC here. I'm going to need one that goes up through the handle and joins the pommel together, so I'm going to go cut that, and then the other piece will go up through the top section here. I'll cut it off and I'll drill that hole. So let's go and do all that. So we have a bit of PVC pipe glued in there. This is the handle, and it's time to glue on the pommel to the handle. Just like that. Now it's time to do the work on the pipe going to the emitter section. So the first thing I'm going to do is put it in where it's going to go and mark out where I need the hole for the switch to go through. Then I can just drill that out. Clean off the excess at the back. Now it's time to glue this in. So this bit I have to be quite quick with because the glue sets up really quickly, and if it's in the wrong spot, Got to fix it up. So let's just try and get this in as quick as possible, get it in the right position, and we should be good. Just like that. So I put glue too far down, so I'm just going to clean off all the excess. So now it's time to cut this down a little bit. So I think I want it about there. So I'm going to go cut that off and we'll go from there. There we go. So just do a test fit there. You can see it doesn't go all the way in, so I need to remove a couple millimeters on the end of this. So I'm going to go do that on my belt sander so I get a nice clean cut. Perfect. There we go. So we can see that it's nice and flush now. That's exactly what we want. I think it is time to start painting. Let's put a layer of grey primer on first, then I'll go with black, and then I'll make it metallic. I've got Saruman's lightsaber here. I've put down a grey primer and then black or gloss black coat on it. So I think now I want to give it a really light dusting of aluminium or silver, and I'm going to warm up the can first so it's a really fine mist rather than kind of a bit splotchy. So let's go and do that now and see how it looks. Alright, so the painting is done on this one. I'm going to go back and do some weathering in a second, but I want to start working on the electronics and the lights. So the bits that I need is this USB chargeable torch. So this is really bright, it's a 200 lumen LED. Really good, it lights up the lightsaber blades really well and gives a nice strong beam. So the bits that I need from it are the lens, so I'll take that out, but also the internals and the switch from this. So I'm going to go and cut those up in a second. And the other bits I need are some red light filters, a spacer, and tape to put it all together. So the thing I'm going to go do now is cut this up and then pull it all apart. Alright, so I kind of messed that up a little bit. When I was cutting it open, I accidentally cut too far through and separated the light from the LED driver that's inside there. So no worries, we can go back and fix that, but there's the internals that we want. We want this switch button, and this lens we can just pop out. We can just pop that out. There we go. So I have to fix this light now. So what I'm going to do, heat up my soldering iron, then I'll show you how to solder it back on, just in case you do the exact same thing that I just did. Here we go. So my soldering iron is set up, it's heated up, and it's ready to go. The good thing about these boards are they tell you exactly where you need to solder. So you've got an L positive and an L negative. So that's light positive, light negative. On these LEDs, the red's always positive and whatever other color. So in this case, white is negative. So with soldering, it's really important to just set it up correctly first, and then the soldering is the easy part. It should take 2 seconds, but setting up your wires, making sure they're sitting in the right spot, really helps out. So what I'm going to do is just put a little dab on the end, and then just solder that on. Done. So now I'm going to disconnect the red, connect up the white, and then solder that one on. Alrighty, here we go. Again. Just like that. Let it cool. I might just put a little bit more solder on the red, because I think I didn't put enough on there. Always make sure that you have a clean soldering iron to do this with. And one important thing to do before you pull it all apart and take your soldering iron off is to just double check that it works. Perfect. Alrighty, let's pull this apart and keep going. So I've just finished my quick pit stop to fix the light, and it's working just fine. The next thing I need to do is just make sure that all my filters and my lens are nice and clean. I don't want any dirt or anything like that getting in there and disrupting the light, so it's good to just give them one last clean before you start assembling. Got my spacer ready to go, First thing I'm going to do is tape up this light to just secure it all in place, because as you can see there's a lot of exposed wires, so we just want to tape all those down. People might think, why are you taping it all, why don't you just glue it all together? Well, if I ever need to go back and fix something, like if I happen to break that solder that I just did, having it all taped together means I can go back and just fix it up later, and I much prefer to do that because this will be inside the lightsaber, which means you're never actually going to see it, so having tape there, to me, doesn't matter. So I am quite happy to tape it together if it means that if something goes wrong later, I can fix it. So as I'm taping this together, I'm just also going to put the spacer in there. So now, the order that we want to put these in is the lens, and then the 2 filters on top, and then we'll tape all those down in place with some clear tape. So I'm going to put the lens, the 2 filters, take my clear tape, put that over the top, make sure there's not many bubbles, and tape that down. So now you'll see there's a nice red light coming from that, but we don't want light spilling out around the edges, so we'll just take some more tape and go around there, and that also secures down the clear tape that's over the top. So now we have our nice red blade, looks really good. The next thing we need to do is now install this into the lightsaber. So this lightsaber comes apart up here. I've decided that I'm not happy where this is because I've just thought about it. When you're holding it and the lightsaber blade's coming out of there, if you try and swing this around a little bit, this might actually pop out there because you're actually holding onto the bottom here. So I'm going to redo the design on this and make the separation point somewhere down here, so it blends it really well, but also it means you're holding the connection, so it'll make it really strong. But for this one, it's just going to go up on my wall, so it's fine like this. But now we just need to install the light into there. There we go. And now we can install the switch that we pulled out of the light earlier on. So with just a pair of tweezers, it's a nicely modeled hole for it there, and it just slots in perfectly. Look at that. Just like that. Alright, let's do a little bit of weathering on this and then I think it's done. So I'm just going to do some very simple weathering on this because it's a fairly dark lightsaber, which means adding dark patches on it really isn't going to do much. But I'm going to go over and do some highlights with silver. Saruman is incredibly old, thousands of years old, so his lightsaber or staff would have been through a lot of action, which means it's going to have scratches all over it. So taking this Tamiya silver paint, really good model paint, what I'm going to do is just put it on my dry brush, take off the majority of it, and then just go and hit all the highlights over the lightsabers and add some scratches in, just like that. So what this will do will really make you see all the edges and make it look a bit used and real. So I'm going to go over the whole lightsaber doing this and we'll see how it turns out. And there we go guys, that is Saruman's lightsaber completed. So it's got the curved hilt from Count Dooku and Saruman's staff up the top here. So a great combination of Sir Christopher Lee's both iconic roles there. So really happy with how this has turned out into the end. It's got the red blade with a removable lightsaber blade. So yeah, very happy with how this original design's come out. Hope you guys enjoyed the build. Check out my other Lord of the Rings lightsabers build videos, like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys on the next one.